So as you can see, I've got a bunch of tomatoes ready to use, ready to make some salsa. I'm going to be roasting my tomatoes. I broiled them on low for 10 minutes per side, but I think it was a little bit too hot or a little bit too long, so I'd go a little less next time. As you can see, the tomatoes release a lot of juice. Don't throw that away, there's so much flavor in there. I put my tomatoes in a colander and strained them. I strained most of the liquid out the night before and cooked that down, but there was a little bit more left in the morning, so I add that to my pot as well. I would guess about 4 cups of liquid in total. You should really taste that stuff. It is wow tomato flavor right in that bucket right now. I haven't roasted all of my salsa ingredients. I just didn't want to get that many pans out. You want to be really careful about the temperature and the time that you cook this down on, as there is so much natural tomato sugar in that juice. It can burn if the pan gets too dry. So you want to just be really careful. I've cooked mine a little bit too long. It's not burnt yet, so it will still work. But you really only need to get it so it's thick enough to begin to coat the back of a spoon. You don't need it to be this really dark color. Now we're going to be separating the tomato skins and cores from the flesh. So I have 2 bowls actually. I'm separating the cores, stems, and any blemished skin into one bowl, and all the unblemished skin into another. Bonus tip, if you cut the cores out before you roast them, this will be a lot easier. I know a lot of people don't peel their tomatoes for salsa. I always do, because I've had the peels separate and curl up into these tough little scrolls of skin that's not very palatable. You can, of course, make your own choices. But I do recommend peeling tomatoes that have been roasted, as the skins have already started to separate. This is a long and tedious process, and at some point I ended up actually pulling up my kitchen stool and sitting there and just working away while I was listening to an audiobook. If you have any paper cuts or abrasions in your hands, do use gloves, as the acid on the tomatoes can be very aggressive. So, as you can see in this little video I've added in, I'm going to be using those tomato skins. They get completely dehydrated, and then I'll grind them into a powder. Tomato powder made from just skin is a bit more intense in flavor than whole tomatoes, with a flavor a bit closer to tomato paste. This powder can be reconstituted with a little water to use like tomato paste in small quantities. You can add it to soups and stews to intensify the flavors. You can shake it over roasts and chicken to assist in browning and roasting. Another thing I like to use it for is popcorn flavoring. I make a ketchup flavored popcorn seasoning with equal parts tomato powder, salt and vinegar popcorn seasoning, and powdered sugar. Can you tell I'm Canadian? So I do also peel any peppers that I've roasted, as these skins have separated as well. I haven't roasted all the peppers, and I won't be peeling the rest of them, but I definitely do these ones. It's a good idea to measure both your tomatoes and the liquid you cook down at this stage before you add anything else to your pot. to make sure that you have the right measurements for your recipe. I like to then put them through my food processor before I add them to the pot. Now, unfortunately, my food processor is more determined to mush things than to chop them, so my salsa this year is a little less chunky than I'd like. I'm going to add some heat with these jalapenos from the grocery store. Unfortunately, my pepper plants were not productive this year with the cooler summer we had. So it's a good idea to wear gloves when cutting up hot peppers and under no circumstances touch your face. These and the additional green peppers will get chopped up, measured, and added to the pot of salsa. As you can see here, I'm using this tiny little knife to chop up some of the tomatoes that I added. I decided to chop some by hand to give it better texture. Here's me realizing a bigger knife will do this much faster. And I actually made the salsa over the course of about 3 days, as I had a migraine this week. So this is the second day. I roasted the batch of tomatoes the night before, and then I ended up canning this on the third day. I brought my salsa back up to a nice simmer and then canned and processed as per the recipe. That is the speeded up version of how I made my salsa this year and how I normally make my salsa. If you have any questions, I'd love to read them down in the comments. It gives me great joy to be able to interact with people and just be part of a community of encouragement. Also, if you have any video suggestions or other gardening, preserving questions, homemaking, anything you'd like to know more about, if this video is useful to you in any way, please let me know that by liking, sharing, and commenting. The more interaction the video gets, the more likely it'll actually be seen by the people who may need it most. My goal on this channel is to encourage you to garden, no matter what limitations you might have. It can seem like a really daunting thing to begin, but I believe in you, and I believe that with the courage to try, you can do just about anything. It might not look the same as when other people do it, but you can do just about anything. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.